Well, in other news here tonight, Russia is in the international spotlight following a dramatic armed rebellion by the Wagner Group. The rebels seized a Russian city and marched towards Moscow before eventually turning away, traveling to Belarus. John sitting down asking questions on the message this rebellion sends.
Yeah, joining me is University of Dayton political science professor Dr. Yara Bilichkovitz. Welcome to 5 on 2, Dr. Bilichkovitz. And let's just start with, this is taking place 7 time zones away. Why does it matter to the people here in the Miami Valley?
Well, firstly, Russia is a key geopolitical rival of the United States, and they're waging an unprovoked war against democratic Ukraine, a key ally of the U.S. and of Europe. And of course, Russia is also a nuclear power. So for all those reasons, it's important to the Miami Valley as well as to the American public. And of course, we have Wright-Patt Air Force Base as well, so that's very important to our national security.
Yeah, it's one of the most prominent bases in all the U.S. military, one of the most prominent bases, military installations in the world. We're seeing signs of strength coming out of Putin today. It's what you would have expected to happen on this day. What's the significance of what you're hearing from him and his messaging to the Russian people today?
Well, I think he's trying to project calm, that everything's sort of back to normal, even though it really isn't. Maybe the immediate military crisis in Russia may be over, but the war on Ukraine isn't over. So I think, in some sense, it's likely that a lot of the elites and oligarchs and even some of the public are increasingly questioning Putin's authority and power. In other words, how could he so misjudge things? You know, both the war against Ukraine as well as why would he so empower the Wagner Group and then let them do this military rebellion, and why didn't he rein them in sooner?
Now, if you're talking about the characters that were in the conversation over the past 48 hours, talking about President Putin, talking about Belarus President Lukashenko, you're talking about the Wagner Group leader Yevgeny Prigozhin. None of those are considered to be trusted sources, and they're all saying a variety of things. You have to take everything with a big grain of salt. What do we know that's actually happening?
Well, in terms of the agreement, we don't know exactly how it's going to play out. Certainly, I would think that eventually Putin is certainly going to have physical retaliation and retribution against Prigozhin. He may not try to eliminate him immediately. Presumably, he might want a few months of Russian state propaganda to demonize him before he then takes retribution. He may still want to keep the Wagner Group involved abroad, maybe in Belarus, to kind of put pressure on Eastern Europe, Poland, the Baltic states, as well as Ukraine. And of course, he may also want to keep the Wagner Group active in the Middle East and Africa, where they exploit resources, provide security, etc. So he could simply replace Prigozhin, bring somebody else that they trust, still be involved outside of Russia, and therefore maybe not being a direct threat to Putin.
We got about 20 seconds left. We also know tactical nukes have been moved into Belarus, and if that becomes the home then of the Wagner Group going forward, is there a concern with that?
Sure, that would be a concern, and even Lukashenko might be concerned that, you know, if Wagner comes in, can he hold on to power? But I think the more likely scenario in terms of the nuclear would be Russia doing sabotage at the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, the largest in Europe, in Ukraine. And the reason for that is they would blame it on the Ukrainians, falsely. There wouldn't be quite as much international backlash as compared with using tactical nuclear weapons, where even China and India would say that's unacceptable. So that's the bigger danger, I think.
Yeah, we're all still trying to find more information as to exactly what's going on. It's been 48 plus hours since the insurrection there in Russia. We'll see. Dr. Yara Bilichkovitz, political science professor at University of Dayton, thank you so much for helping us understand what has been a very confusing situation over in Russia.
Thank you.